Welcome, Wishing Apples, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And it's April. And for the last, good Lord, 8 years or so, we have been doing April as Geek Salad's Disney month. So we are reviewing movies from a certain point of view of the Disney releases. This year, what we decided to do, Mike had the idea of tapping into kind of like the definitive Walt Disney releases.
The most important releases from kind of his lifetime. Well,
right.
That we haven't already covered.
Exactly. That's the other fun part of that too. And this is one we have not covered. The very first full-length animated movie, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
It's also one I had never seen before. I know. It was like one of my big glaring blank spots in my Disney oeuvre.
Okay. Now, first of all, I just want to point out, it is spelt dwarfs, not dwarves, which is weird to me.
Oh, yeah. It is FS, not VES.
Yeah. Oh, I am very strict with spelling. I am a champion speller, and that kills me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had seen this bits and pieces in my childhood, on Magical World of Disney. I didn't see it in its entirety until it got released on VHS in 1995.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen clips here and there. Obviously, any Disney fan worth their weight in anything has seen clips. Usually the same clips.
Yeah,
but I never actually watched it front to start.
This was all right. Let's get this out of the way. It is groundbreaking. It is absolutely groundbreaking for its time because it was the first. Even though there was an argument to be made that Gulliver's Travels from Max Fleischer Studios may have come first or may have been completed first.
Oh. I will also say that it's really hard to judge this one. Because it's the very first, so you can't really compare it to something like Frozen or Tangled, because there's just been so much progress. It's like trying to compare Star Wars to what was it? Rocket to the Moon?
Right, exactly. And now the funny thing is too, and I brought this up on the podcast before about how much it pissed me off that AFI, when they were doing their 10 full, greatest full-length animated films, this was number one. And it's because nothing was allowed to change, nothing, it's always got to be number one, not because it's better, but because it's first.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely groundbreaking, and actually a lot of it, especially the animation, still does hold up. It is still really amazing looking.
Yeah. I will say that there are some holes in some areas of animation, but understandable considering, I mean, this movie was paid for on bank loans.
Big time. I mean,
if you've ever read anything about the making of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it is, they were just, we need more money. We need more money. We need more money.
Walt maxed out his credit cards, mortgaged his house,
sold his car.
He spent $1.4 million of his own money in 1937, and to make this, and he still needed more money. He had to call in a guy from the bank because he needed $250,000 more, and he was pretty sure he was never going to get it. But he showed a rough cut to the guy at the bank. The guy at the bank just watched it, stone-faced, beginning to end. And finally, at the end, he looked at Walt and said, I'm going to make a hat load of money with this. And he gave him the loan.
Yeah.
This movie literally created Walt Disney Studios.
It did. I mean, this is, when you adjust for inflation, one of the highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah. I mean, understandable, because there also wasn't much to compare it to.
There wasn't much to compare it to. But I think that also might be domestic movies of all time, too. It might not be globally. That distinction actually goes to Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Which again, same thing. It's like, it releases and then it stays in theaters for like 5 years because there's no other movies coming out.
Right. Exactly. So this one again, it's tough to compare to other movies. To be honest, it's hard to compare this to Pinocchio, which was the next animated film to come out after this.
Yeah, that is fair. I mean, because this one lives and dies on the quality of the animation. Because the story itself is like if you just told this, if you just like read the script of this movie, it's probably 10, 12 pages at most.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were saying that it took until we were adults before we actually got like Disney princesses that were so interesting you didn't need a sidekick. This is the absolute opposite of that. It is not only does she has 7 sidekicks, each one with their own distinct personality, which is indicated in their name. Yeah. It's tough because we're playing by a lot of old-timey rules when we discuss this movie in terms of story, narrative, dialogue. There is a lot here that I think for the time needed to be simplistic.
Yeah.
And it shows. This movie shows its age in its narrative structure.
Yeah, I mean, when this movie was made, people didn't even think that animated films could work. So they really had to keep the story simple just to streamline everything and get people through it.
Show off the animation, show off the animation, show off the animation. And that's exactly what they did. There are swaths of this movie where they're just doing things.
Yeah. I mean, I will say the scene where Snow White is running through the woods scared, that is a masterpiece of animation.
Yeah.
It is like the trees like looking scary, but then slowly like the limbs sort of morph into hands.
Yeah.
As they're grabbing her, the logs, they're just logs, but then as they splash up, they become alligators. It's really impressive animation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the background, the use of shadow in this is great. It's going to be the first instance where the villain is the most interesting character in the entire movie. Kind of fitting because this is the first movie.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even go that far. I mean, for me, the most interesting character in this one was Grumpy, actually. He had the biggest character arc.
I think Grumpy did have the biggest character arc.
Voiced by the original voice of Goofy, Pinto Colvig.
Yeah. I just like I like the motivations of the evil queen. Great character design. I mean, considering this is based on a Grimm's fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it only makes sense. Why do you hate Snow White? Because she's prettier than me.
And I mean, but even if you think about it, like, yeah, you give her the apple like with the poison of sleeping death, which means that technically she is still alive. So technically she is still the prettiest in the land. As long as as long as that heart is still slightly beating, she is still prettier than you.
Well, you know what? She was dead before she could go check with the mirror.
Very true.
You have to admit, though, the transformation scene where she transforms into the hag, if I were a kid watching it, I'd be terrified. Especially like watching her hands grow old, grow old. I thought, that kind of stuff really resonates.
Yeah.
In this again, because the animation had to carry this entire movie.
Yeah. And also like it was really creepy seeing those like 2 vultures just kind of following her around.
Yep.
It's like
they knew.
Were they following her because they thought she would kill somebody, or did they like sense her impending doom?
They knew.
Yeah.
Also,
does everyone in the kingdom just know where the dwarves live? Because she seemed to have no problem finding their hut.
Exactly. You know, anybody in the kingdom should know where their unlocked stash of jewels are.
Yeah, dude, they could buy and sell that wicked queen.
Yeah, seriously. What I found, it's just for me watching this, when they cut to the mine and they're working and it's the Hi Ho song, I just it immediately brings me back to the Seven Dwarfs mine cart.
Yeah.
At Disney World, at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Because it's just, that is like every time we go on that ride, it is a rite of passage. We took my mother-in-law on it and she was just like, this is just delightful.
Yeah. It's kind of like I'm not going to say, I don't want to say a kiddie version of Big Thunder Mountain, because Big Thunder Mountain is like really kind of the baseline for roller coasters. It's a roller coaster I don't mind going on, which is a lot right there. But it is kind of like a kid version of Big Thunder Mountain, I guess.
It is. It's lower to the ground. It's more wide swings than it is, and that's the beauty with the cars, because the cars do the swing.
Yeah.
As well. God damn, I love that ride. I will say about the movie, Snow White is as dumb as a bag of hammers. It is, and again, it's simplicity of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, and I understand she's supposed to be what, 14?
Something like that, yeah.
But it's like, God, you are a child.
Yeah, if you go with the original Grimm's fairy tale, she's only about like 14 years old. And I'm going to say, I don't think she's dumb, but she is horrendously naive. I mean, you've got every single one of the dwarves telling you, "Oh yeah, the witch is really tricky. She knows magic. Don't talk to anyone. Don't say anything. Don't let anybody in." And then this old woman, "Oh hi dear, are you all alone?" "Well, yes. How you doing?"
"Would you like a free apple?"
"Why, yes, I would. It's a magic wishing apple." "Oh wow, that sounds awesome. Let me eat it."
Oh, yeah.
Is it stupidity? I think it's more naivete.
It might be naivete. I mean, she hasn't lived, she's been cleaning the palace for God knows how long. We don't know if she actually has a father or not.
Yeah, her father's just never been mentioned.
Non-existent. Exactly. Not even mentioned. And then we've got Prince. I guess we're just going to call him Charming.
He's a charming prince, but I don't think Prince Charming is Cinderella. He's just the prince. He's
the prince.
Voiced by Dean Stockwell's father.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think his name is Alan Stockwell.
Okay.
Harry Stockwell. Who was Dean Stockwell's father.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just like most Disney princes at the time. He's really just there to whisk her away and give her a happy ending at the end of it.
You say you can't spell generic without Eric.
Yep.
Oh, this guy makes Eric seem three-dimensional and very, very interesting.
Yeah.
This guy he shows up for 5 minutes at the beginning and for 5 minutes at the end. That's it.
Yep. And he's got that weird character design where he's got like holes where his nostrils should be and no nose. Snow White's very similarly drawn to that too.
Yeah, and the queen before she becomes the hag, that all of them have a very very ill-defined face.
Yeah.
Which when you contrast it against the queen as a hag and especially against the seven dwarves, they have very, very full, very defined, very artistic faces.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know the animators did not like to use rotoscopes, but I think for several scenes they did have to use rotoscopes.
I think it was a necessity. I will give them this though; it's not nearly as jarring as like the Ralph Bakshi.
Oh yeah, no.
Rotoscoping.
No, they didn't like rotoscoping, so when they had to use it for time and money purposes, they did their best to make it not look rotoscoped. So,
right, exactly. Well, that's what we just talked about all how much personal property Walt had to sell to get this movie made. And it's like, yeah, they're working with Disney money.
Disney money back then was not Disney money now.
No. It's I understand this movie's place in the Pantheon.
Yeah.
And it is, but you could definitely tell this was the first bite of the apple. Yeah. Literally.
I mean, as much as it's weird to say it about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it is 100% an experimental movie.
Oh yeah.
It's as experimental as Fantasia.
Yeah. And there were scenes that were cut that they really wanted to get in there just to show off the animation. There is a full cut scene of the dwarves eating soup.
Mm.
And I mean, it doesn't sound exciting, except when you realize how much goes into that when you're hand drawing it, your animation, and you're doing that for 7 distinct characters who have to eat soup 7 distinct ways.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot to be said about scenes that aren't shown, like Snow White actually eating the apple and then falling. You don't see it. All you see is her take the apple, and then you hear her say, "I'm going to eat it," and you hear the crunch, and then you just watching the queen see it all happen, and then you just see her hand and the apple fall out.
Yep.
So it's like, I bet you they really wanted to animate that, but probably because of the content and just the lack of money, they probably couldn't do it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt that one bit.
And I guess there were scenes that they wanted to do involving the prince, like I guess the prince was captured by the queen and kept in the dungeon, and that's why he doesn't show up for 99% of the movie.
Yep, true. He only shows up, just riding by on this horse. It's got to be like, you got to have just enough curiosity and just enough of an inclination, necrophilia, to go, say, I don't mind kissing this dead body. He didn't know she was under a spell. I'm just going to put that out there. He didn't know. I mean,
if you're in a glass coffin for 6 months or so, and you're still not rigor mortis, you know what? Maybe there is a spell going on. We haven't talked about the music yet too much.
All right, the music is just it's standard classic Disney.
Yeah, I mean, like Hi Ho it's just a fun song.
Right.
Not much to it, but it is fun.
Right.
Someday My Prince Will Come is, I think, my favorite of Snow White's songs.
Yeah.
The whole instrumental with the dwarves playing and the dancing and all that was a fun scene, and the music was nice.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was nice, and again, it's there to kind of fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Speaking of filling in the blanks, there's a way more narration, and they utilized a lot of tell, don't show.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, the dwarves, they didn't want to bury her, so they put her in a glass coffin. And then many months passed. Like, well, you could have just showed it.
Yeah. Well, I guess trying to indicate passage of time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you really want to see a great takeoff on the Wishing Song, the Paul Rudish Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Oh yeah.
About the Wishing Well is brilliant on so many levels because the dwarves are in there.
That was actually the very first Paul Rudish Mickey Mouse cartoon I watched.
Yeah. Brilliant.
It's so good.
It is one of my all-time favorites.
Because Minnie just can't get that wishing coin in there.
Nope. And then Mickey's got to grab all the wishes from Peg Leg Pete.
Yeah. Well, the whole forest just burning around the well.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I mean, this is a fine, inoffensive movie. It's not a go-to for me, though.
No.
This is a, you didn't watch it. I mean, you as a Disney fan hadn't watched this movie until yesterday.
Yeah. And you know what? I will say, like, from like some occasional jokes that you've made at it over the years, I was expecting worse. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And I get why it's so beloved as like the very first one. It is, like I said, it is fairly stunning to look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are way better animated movies that I would
Right.
go to.
I mean, it's very light. It's very airy.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking solely at this era.
Yeah.
You think about the animated movies that came out after this one. Pinocchio, very dark. Fantasia.
Yeah.
Fantasia in and of itself is an experiment.
Yeah.
All those wartime compilation movies like Make My Music and Fun and Fancy Free and The Three Caballeros.
Yeah.
All are just like, I mean, I guess people just didn't. Those are kind of clumped into it's wartime. I got a couple of cents on me. Maybe I'll go to a movie.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that light and airy feeling again. I think until Cinderella.
Yeah.
They'll bring it into the 50s. So.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Bambi is definitely dark.
Yeah, but Bambi was in the 40s and Dumbo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, Dumbo. I mean, Dumbo, it definitely had some dark moments, but I think overall it is a fairly light movie.
I don't know. There is an elephant getting tortured, so.
Yeah, but you also have pink elephants on parade.
True.
Which is a fun song.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it kind of stands where it needs to stand, is where I'm saying, just because.
I am 100% glad that I can finally check it off my Disney bucket list.
Yep. What?
It's been sitting on there for far too long.
Yeah, I'm just curious. What are the other classics? If you haven't seen like Make My Music, I understand, but
I mean, yeah. Make My Music and Fun and Fancy Free. I don't think I've ever actually watched. I mean, I might have seen like some of the clips from them.
Yeah.
I know I've seen DeFure's Face.
Yeah.
What would be my next like kind of Disney blind spot? I mean, never seen Treasure Planet and like Atlantis, and those are the ones I do. You know what? I would say probably my next biggest Disney blind spot would be I've never seen Lilo and Stitch.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of going down my list of the Disney movies that we had on our going to Disney list.
Mm.
Yeah, I've seen every. I think the only Disney movies I haven't seen have been the super recent ones. I haven't seen Wish. I haven't seen Moana. I still haven't seen
Wish. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both on Disney Plus, so
yeah,
I have no excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would say like the next like most like biggest one that everyone else seems to adore. I've just never seen Lilo and Stitch.
Interesting. Live action's coming out pretty soon, so
yeah. And actually,
just like the live action just came out for Snow White.
Yeah. Which I've heard is actually better than people give it credit for.
Right, exactly. But it's still not doing well, so people are able to roll in their shit over it. So
yeah. But
anyway,
you want to tell people what we're doing next week?
Yeah, sure, why not? So as I mentioned, we are doing like the Walt Disney highlights. So next week we are going to actually be looking at one of my personal favorite Disney movies, Fantasia.
Yeah, which that's one that I have seen, but not for probably 30 years. And last time I watched it, I'm pretty sure I fell asleep in it during it.
Okay.
It just was not for me as a kid.
Right. Well, I'm hoping to see what it's like for you as an adult.
Yeah, hoping I can appreciate it more.
You're a grown-ass man now, Mike. You should be able to enjoy it. So, anyway.
Only physically.
So anyway, that was Snow White. We want to know, what are your thoughts on Snow White? Where does it rank in your Disney princess movies? Very curious about that. I'll leave a comment below. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, all that stuff. Helps us in the algorithm. If you want to leave a review, leave it on iTunes just because. If you want to follow us on the socials, we are Geek Salad Podcast on Facebook and Geek Salad Radio. All the things at Blue Sky. Also, Mike and I do host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. We do have a new episode coming up very soon. It's already been recorded. Now it's in the editing stages, so you should see that within about a week or so, would you say?
I'm hoping to get most of it done this weekend.
Fantastic. And it kind of ties into our Disney month, but only tangentially. Yeah. So, anyway, until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go for it and be nerdful. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.